Well, I had a ton of wind yesterday, and we got like this misty rain, which I'm not opposed to. It is what it is. But today, as you can see, the clouds are clear and the sun is bright. Bright, shiny day. I can see clearly now the rain is done. It's a little bit chilly here this morning, though. According to my car, it's 46 degrees outside. I think that tends to show it just a little bit warmer. I would guess it's probably like 44. I didn't want to wear a jacket today, so I wore a vest. Keep that, keep my core warm. And I also, um, I have not been trying to lose weight, but I did, and I think it was on the cruise. I, uh, I was under 200 pounds this weekend. Now this morning I'm up to 201, but uh, we'll see if that. Because that can be water weight and stuff like that. We'll see. I'll weigh myself again and see if it is legitimately down. I wasn't even trying to, but yeah. So that's all the good stuff happening. Lots of good stuff happening. Some. So we're getting all this wind that's coming in out of the north. And yesterday when it was raining, it was like this mist, but we had like 40-mile-per-hour winds. I had to go down. I've got two awnings. The one before the wind had come in, I actually putted up because, what was it? I just wanted sunlight in the one room. But the other one, yeah, you pulled out a little bit too far. Thank you. The other one was just getting hammered in the wind. So I actually went out in the wind and I took it down, lose it, and it wouldn't break anything. And one of my security cameras also broke just before I went on the cruise. So I ordered a new one, and that came in this week, but I didn't get a chance to put it up. I put it up 2 days ago, and now that's back up and running. So I got coverage on security cameras on my property, so that's good. So yeah, things are doing well. I uh, I like wasn't a busy weekend. I just kind of took my time on things. Had the extended weekend, so I was off Monday. And so wasn't anybody on base when I was up there. I do have a video out today. Members can see it right now, but the rest of you'll be able to watch it at 3:30 Eastern time. Uh, I happened upon a homeless woman on base. She's a surviving spouse, meaning her her husband was a veteran and he passed away, and people stole her identity. Some family members stole her identity, and what we're trying to do is get her an attorney so she can clear all that up. Because if we clear all that up, she'll be able to get housing, no problem. She'll actually probably be able to buy a house. But yeah, just you know, just some bad stuff happening to her. So we're gonna try and improve her life a little bit. But I did start a Give Send Go. That is in the description. If people want to give and you have money to give, if you don't have money to give, don't give. But yeah, she lives out of her car, um, and we're gonna try to see what we can do to improve her living situation. James, I am doing so good today. Today is such a good day. But I'll get up here. I'm in the park right now. I'll get up here and hook this thing up, and yeah, well, I'll talk to you guys for a little bit this morning about all the things that are happening. There we go. Whew. It is warm. I warmed the car up. I'm getting messages from the Grangers. They're on their cruise. Seem to be enjoying that. I feel really good for them. They deserve a good. Sorry, guys. That was a problem on my end. It bumped the side thing. So if it kicked off, that's why. But I see we're still live. I'm not getting a lot of comments today. Uh, yeah, not getting a lot of comments, but it could be YouTube and Restream. So, um, yeah, I I was talking about. I didn't know Jesse Jackson died. I knew Robert Duvall died. So I was talking with her, and she was like, "Jesse Jackson died." I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "So Robert Duvall, Jesse Jackson." I said, "Who's next? Nancy Guthrie, son of a rancher." Oh no, don't worry about the bad grammar and spelling. Here's the thing: I'm a journalist. My degree's in journalism. I write a whole bunch of stuff. All these people who try to like be grammar Nazis, they only catch the common misspellings. They never catch the stuff. In fact, one of my favorite trolls is Michael Malice, and he does a show called You're Welcome, and he spells it Y-O-U-R. And people are always like, it's Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. And he's like, oh, so you caught that, but you didn't catch that I capitalized both words. You didn't catch, I think he puts a comma in that. There's like 5 grammatical mistakes that people don't catch, but they always catch the your. And, the thing is, like, yeah, are there people out there who don't know the difference between like your and, uh, your and you are, and then people who don't know there and there. Yes, you do get those. But and I've talked about this on the show. I had Marines for many years. I would get Marines who would write things, and they would just use semicolon after semicolon. I'm like, why are you using all these semicolons? Because the thing is, they never used them correctly. And they were like, oh, well, I'm trying to do this. Really, what it comes down to is they're just trying to write impressively. Um, and the thing is, never try to impress with your writing. Just say things plainly. It's so much easier. And yesterday, we were reading a court case involving Sarah Fields and potentially me, because I have interacted with Sarah Fields, and he named her and then 99 John Does, which I'm guessing are all just people from social media who he does not know who they are. So because I interact with her on Twitter mainly, I could be potentially one of those people. So I could right now be being sued for defamation. I'm not worried about it. I actually kind of hope I am, because I'd love to do an anti-slap lawsuit. But yeah, what was the word vituperative, meaning harsh, brash, or um, so yeah, that was a word I didn't know. I actually do enjoy when I find words that I've never heard before. Love looking them up, but you should not use them in common parlance. You should, your everyday conversation. And if you want people to understand what you're writing, you definitely shouldn't use them in your writing. And when people do that, they have a tendency to use words wrong, just because they want to sound important and smart. And yeah, what happens is they end up looking dumb if they use it incorrectly. Which, by the way, do you guys like my new watch? I got that on the cruise. I got this bracelet on the cruise. Rather do cowboy work. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I I could not write for shit, and but only because I was a Marine and I was in an officer's program, I knew I was going to have to be a much better writer. So that's why I switched my degree from engineering to journalism, and I'm a much better writer today because of it. And that's the only reason. I hated writing, and I just thrust myself into it, and every week I was writing and writing and writing, and I hated it, but I knew I needed to get better. So, and then it actually, like, there were parts of journalism that actually became fun. Going to court, so much fun, so much fun. I enjoy sitting in court, getting to know the bailiffs and the clerks and everybody, because those end up being your sources on stuff, because they're there, they see all the things, they know the lawyers, they talk to the lawyers. So yeah, that was another thing about that lawsuit. He was all mad that a clerk had clearly fed her some information. It's like, that's who normally the sources are. Hey Christina, good morning. So yeah, that oh, she's got sources who are people working in the courtroom. Well, yeah, that's normally who they are. Sometimes the lawyers themselves are the sources. But yeah, uh, and that's the thing. People are like, how'd they know that? They probably know a clerk or they know a bailiff. Bailiffs are great sources. I'll tell you that much. Because bailiffs are there, and even though they're in a uniform, they're in a law enforcement uniform, people will say and do things around them. I don't get it. Um, and this kind of goes back to, I had an XO who said one thing. He said, if you want to know how good your unit's doing, go grab a cigarette and go sit in your smoke pit. He goes, you will learn everything about what's happening in your unit sitting in the smoke pit. And he was a major, and he's like, oh, these Marines, they open up about everything in the smoke pit. It doesn't matter your rank. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And very interesting, because yeah, there are those times where people, they know someone's a person of authority, know they can do certain things, but they just start talking and talking and talking. um yeah, so um it's funny how that happens. uh and yeah, I used to smoke my cigars in the smoke pit, um on Sundays. Every Sunday was cigar night in the smoke pit. We'd have steak and lobster at the DFAC, which is what they call the chow hall when you're deployed. And yeah, then afterwards we'd all make it to the smoke pit and just start smoking our cigars and talking about the week and telling stories and having some laughs. The only time you wouldn't is if there was a sandstorm. But it was that's the thing, that, like, stuff like that really made deployments fun. Right, Dan? Dan's my old neighbor. Um, but yeah, so yeah, it's funny how people are. You'll see how they do these things and they act certain ways. And but yeah, I am interested to see if I'm one of the John Does listed in that lawsuit. Because if so, I will be doing a responsive lawsuit. How to make a few cowboy friends is offer them chewing tobacco or a cigarette. Yep, I don't blame you. Now, are you, James? You feel free not to answer this. You in Texas or Oklahoma, or I was looking up about no man's land, which is the panhandle of Oklahoma. I was reading some stuff about that this weekend. Someone posted some stuff that piqued my interest. Um, the high plains. We uh, we we don't have ranching the way we used to out here. I'm like literally 2 miles that way. This way is Joshua Tree National Park, and there used to be tons of ranching out here, but nothing like what it used to. And there's a guy I know who's lived here almost his whole life, and he knew a guy in the 60s. He goes, yeah, it was this old guy that was sitting out here. And he goes, back then ranching kind of stopped. And he said he had lived out here since he was a kid, and said that this area was starting to kind of, the desert was returning. Oh, there's a puppy. Where's puppy going? Mm, he's just running. People around here don't keep their dogs locked up. Texas, Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah, he was saying that the desert was returning to more of what it was. And he goes, and that was 60 years ago. He goes, and I've seen this desert change. And he said, yeah, I've watched this desert change. And he goes, I think he's right that this is what it was, 120 years ago. So it was interesting, you know, talking with him and, about just the things that you used to see out here. He was telling me they have a phosphorus mine as you go closer to Big Bear. And he had a horse die, and it had a lump of phosphorus that had gotten into its stomach, and he believed it was because of the feed he started buying from a feed company in Landers, California, which is just like it's down the slope of the mountain from the phosphorus mine. And he was like, yeah, I think that phosphorus dust was getting up in the air, settling in the ground, and then as they were growing, all this hay and feed and whatnot, it was getting into that. And he said, because my horse was fine for years, but his supplier that was out here, uh, he goes, he died and his son didn't want to keep up the business, so they closed it. He goes, so then I had to start buying feed from a guy out there. And he's like, yeah, 2 years later my horse dies of this like lump of phosphorus. I could be wrong on the way I'm explaining it. He only told me the story once, but pretty interesting. My son knows if they're still home they will be working with me. Yep. That's and see, James, probably more than most people, how much of a killer the estate tax is called the farm killer. Because when it comes to farms and ranches and everything, when the patriarch dies, the estate taxes are so much that they can't keep the land. They got to sell it off, and it's really sad. And I wish we had some politicians with balls to really reform our estate tax. As one thing that I've written some stories. You guys could probably search my name and find them out there about it. I When I was in Michigan, Ohio, I interviewed some people. Just little things that pique my interest. But yeah, the woman out here that's homeless. That video will be out later today on this channel if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you'll see it. I'll post on my Facebook. I'll post a link to it. Uh, but yeah, that'll be out there. And I did start a give send go for. So if you guys are so inclined to help her, she's a she's a widow of a veteran. He died 20 some years ago, and her nephew stole her identity, and she lost her home, lost a whole bunch. She can't do a lot of stuff because whenever they search her social security number, it's bad. Likes of JD Vance ready to buy it up cheap and make the people sharecroppers. JD Vance is not responsible for the estate tax. Sorry, no. Uh, am I sick? I've been still battling being sick. I'm feeling much better now. I still have
Slight cough, runny nose. It hits me more in the morning, but it kind of fades as the day goes on. But yeah, the I can tell you this estate tax is the farm killer. This has been going on minimum 30 years. Minimum 30 years. There were people I knew, farmers back in Ohio, where I went to school with their sons who were very well off, that those family farms are not in the family anymore. And because, you know, paying estate tax would have bankrupted them. So that's what it is. Um, I am very happy about the big beautiful bill and all of the tax cuts that went through. No, it's not allergies. I don't really get allergies. For me to have allergies, it has to be huge. When I lived down in Palm Springs and the pollen would hit and it would like be like your car would be covered, that's the only time allergies ever really affected me. Corporations buying up the farms, that's been happening for 30 years, at least 30 years, actually probably more like 50 years. That's not Trump or Vance. That's been going on for a long, long time. Um, and that's the thing. No one ever really wants to talk about it. And that's why, I don't think estate tax should ever be a thing. Like, you spent your life creating wealth. You've been taxed on your income. Why now that you're dead, can't you just give it to a family member? So why did the farmers need a $12 billion bailout? Uh, Okay, farmers don't need a bailout. Okay. What happens is you're talking about subsidies. Okay. We like to have stable prices for all of our food. So farmers are actually paid not to grow certain crops and they're paid to grow others. That's what you're talking about. Because the price of corn could collapse because corn's a pretty easy crop to grow. So if you don't do those subsidies, a bunch of guys are going to be like, I'm growing corn because I know I can make money off it. But then the price of corn is going to tank. That is why we do farming subsidies. And it's funny because when liberals post the maps and they're like, red states take up all the taxes. If you take farming subsidies out of those, which farming subsidies are not welfare. Farms would absolutely survive without them. But it would that the BBB cut out for farmers. Yeah, I'm explaining it to you because of tariffs. No, it's not because of tariffs. Um, yeah, we are paying farmers not to grow certain things, and we we're get tax off of, yeah, right. James lives it. He can tell you even better than I can. But yeah, farming subsidies are not welfare. It's not a bailout. We do that so prices remain stable. Um, if you cut all those off, you would see the price of food tank. Like, our farmers in this country literally grow enough food for the whole world to eat. They do. That is how effective American farmers are. It's how good our land is. But would it be sustainable? In Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, you've seen the water table fall significantly, and now we're taking water from deeper and deeper, and a lot of that is because of the crops that the government has, for years, like 80 plus years, uh, told these farmers to grow. We're now getting to a point where we've recognized, hey, we need even less of this, but I'll tell you the biggest problem here, like California. California, why are we growing pistachios and almonds and cashews here in California? It takes up way too much water. It takes up way too much water. And uh, that's why there's always a battle for water here in California. And yeah, it's big corporations. One of the biggest corporations grows almonds right here in California. Have you ever seen how much water it takes to grow those? It's crazy. So, yeah, all goes back to our politicians. We need to keep rethinking a lot of the foods that we grow. Um, the farmers are not the problem; they're a symptom of the problem. So, and again, with a lot of these people who they want green initiatives, like right now, there's a big fight over the Colorado River. There's 8 states who take water from the Colorado River, and like I'm California is the worst. San Diego takes water from the Colorado River. That's like that's like 150 miles away. San Diego is a coastline. San Diego should be investing in desalination. That's what they should be doing. But instead, it's easier to just take from the Colorado River, and that should not be allowed. Uh, the Salton Sea, they're, they finally came up with a plan for the Salton Sea. They were going to build a pipeline and bring in seawater, so then the Salton Sea would be less salty, and it would actually turn into like I guarantee if they built had they built that pipeline, the Salton Sea would have become active again. It would have been like the prime real estate, and all these rich people would be buying, because then it would be great, great water and fishing and all that stuff. But instead, they've decided to let it go dry. Why? Because they found that there's lithium out there, and they're now going to mine it for lithium. That is what's happening. And this is California is the green state. They don't give a shit about there's climate change is a hoax. They don't give a shit about the climate. They don't. The people who tell you they give a shit about the climate don't give a shit about the climate. Damn it. It's 7:30. I got to get going, folks. I got to go pick up my coworker. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Check out the video I have. It'll be out at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. A homeless woman here who I literally met on the Marine base here. And if you can help, if you know of a lawyer that deals in uh, identity theft, please reach out to me. We want to help her as best as possible. Other than that, thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, thank you for being worth serving. Oh, and